Hello everybody, it is Regulus here and welcome to yet another 6 exciting games to play in 21x9 or Ultra Wide. We've got a good one in store for you today with 5 of the 6 games being new this year. Before we hop into this video, I just wanted to mention that I've done a decent amount of Ultra Wide showcases in the past, so if your favourite Ultra Wide game doesn't show up on this list, then there is a very strong chance it's popped up in the past. Links to those previous videos will be in the description below. For those who are curious, I'm playing all these games on an Asus ROG Swift 34-inch ultra-wide gaming monitor at 3440 by 1440 and using an RTX 2080 Super. With the release of the new Nvidia graphics cards last year, the RTX 2080 Super is definitely struggling at the moment, so it is falling behind a little bit, but still keeping up just. And last but not least, make sure to leave a comment regarding your personal favourite games to play in Ultra Wide. Starting off, we have an exciting and very recent addition to the PC library, and that game is the, until recently, PlayStation exclusive, Days Gone. This game is an open world zombie survival style game in which you're given a motorcycle and must traverse the beautiful and zombie infested landscape of Oregon. The game feels incredibly tense and scary at times when you enter a dark tunnel with nothing but your flashlight in order to try and clear out a freaker nest or find an item, or when you activate a generator which turns on the alarms or speakers, drawing every zombie within earshot to your location. Whilst at other times, it's a lot of fun to ride around on your motorcycle, speeding past zombies and shooting a few as you pass. This game also has an incredibly interesting mechanic, which are zombie hordes, in which you can come across massive hordes of hundreds of zombies, but this doesn't seem to happen as often as I think it should. The game can feel a little bit like every other open world game at times, but I always get super into zombie games, so I didn't mind. Plus, the characters are pretty great. Now onto the ultra wide support. I was incredibly surprised at just how amazing the ultra wide support for this game was. The gameplay itself, main menu, and even all the cutscenes I've seen so far are fully in 21x9. The game also includes an FOV slider, and despite playing on fully maxed out settings, this game still stays above 60 FPS and usually around 70 at all times. The game has practically perfect ultra-wide support and looks utterly amazing. Altogether, this is yet another perfect example of why we need PS4 and PS5 games to get released to PC much more often, even if it is a few years late. We have a game that blew up an insane amount at the beginning of the year next on this list. If you haven't guessed it already, of course, it's Valheim. This game is a surprising hit considering it's still in early access and was worked on by an incredibly small team. It's a better put together and overall more enjoyable experience than a lot of much larger games developed by companies with much more money and resources. In this procedurally generated open world survival game, you'll have to craft weapons and armor to take down increasingly menacing bosses and travel to different and more difficult biomes as you progress. You can also build yourself a house or base, explore dungeons and find rare loot, mine, and even terraform the land, plus a ton more. I remember playing this small early access game when it first came out and being so surprised about just how well done its ultra-wide support was. The main menu, as well as the gameplay and HUD are all in 21x9. There isn't an FOV slider, but it's a relatively zoomed out third person game, so I wouldn't say it's particularly necessary. I was playing the game on max settings, and the game FPS varied between low 50s to mid 70s most of the time, and is one of the most optimized early access survival games that anyone's ever seen. Definitely check this one out if procedurally generated or open world survival and crafting games are up your alley. on to another open world post-apocalyptic game up next, and that game is Biomutant. I knew next to nothing about this game before its release, and only heard about it a handful of times. It appears to have disappointed a lot of people who were hyped for this game, but so far I've had a really good time with it. You play as a mammal-like creature in a third-person action RPG style game, in which you can craft weapons and armor, ride horses and mechs, engage in both close quarter combat, and fire your guns from afar. So far, I absolutely love the world in this game. As you likely know if you've watched any of my videos before, I'm obsessed with beautiful and vibrant environments, and this game does not disappoint. This game takes a slightly more tongue-in-cheek approach to the apocalypse, and everything is narrated, including other characters talking, which can become annoying after a while because not a single character actually has any personality or anything interesting going on with them. The times when you're exploring the world via horseback, or traversing the dead zone on your mech, searching for loot to upgrade your character, are when I had the most fun with this game. The ultra-wide support is also spectacular. The menus, gameplay, HUD, and all cutscenes and dialogue seem to run perfectly at 21:9, and I don't think I saw a single black bar the whole time I was playing. I was playing almost max settings, besides 1 or 2 sliders, and the game seemed to sit usually between 50 to 70 FPS at most times, with occasional dips or stutters below 50 in some areas. The game also has an FOV slider adjustment. I've had a lot of fun with this game so far, and will definitely be returning for more in the future. But as always, you should keep an eye on reviews to decide if this game's for you.
Super effective.
Next up is a collection of old games brought back into the spotlight, and that is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. This game takes Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, as well as their DLC, and remasters them. Mass Effect is a third-person RPG game in which you travel across space fighting aliens and synthetic beings in an attempt to save the universe from destruction. Second only to amazing landscapes is my intense love for space, and this game just made that love stronger by allowing me to travel across planets at will and finally experience the Mass Effect trilogy for myself. There are so many amazing and memorable characters in this game that you'll form a bond with as you fight with them across all 3 games, sometimes having to make hard choices along the way. Each game has varied mechanics as new ideas are introduced and others are removed between the games, but you can keep your same character between all 3 games, and choices you make in the previous games will affect the future games. Playing this remastered game though, desperately made me crave a remaster of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, so we can only hope that that's coming soon. The gameplay itself is in 21:9, but the largest issue here is that the FOV feels very zoomed in, and there's no built-in FOV slider. The cutscenes and dialogue in this game are also in 16:9, and there is a lot of them throughout the game. In order to fix this, you can download FOV increasing mods, or what I've done is install a program called Flawless Widescreen, which I've used in the past, which can be used to adjust the game FOV, as well as fix the cutscenes in order to make them 21:9. The pre-rendered cutscenes are of course stuck at 16:9, but not much can be done about that. Overall, the ultra-wide support isn't fantastic, but it can be fixed, and the trilogy is definitely worth experiencing for the story, lore, and game itself.
You've done it. You've severed the link to the satellite. You've got to be kidding. Move! The whole thing's giving way!
I reviewed this next game very recently, so if you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description. But this game is Ark Survival Evolved, the only game that wasn't released this year on this list. Ark is a first or third person open world survival game. in which you're able to tame and ride dinosaurs and other creatures, explore a bunch of different maps and worlds, craft, build a base, and more. Despite being the oldest game on this list, it still looks pretty phenomenal almost all of the time, except at night when you can't see a single thing. Again, the environments and worlds can look pretty spectacular, and I often catch myself just staring at them without paying attention to the fact that I'm about to get eaten by a T-Rex. The game is currently my second most played game on Steam because it's one of the most addicting and time-consuming games of all time, and can literally suck up days or weeks of your time without even realizing. Whether playing online with friends or by yourself, there is almost infinite things to be done within this game. The gameplay and HUD are both in 21:9, and the game comes with a built-in FOV slider. The main menu and loading screens are in 16:9, but of course this isn't too much of a problem, as you likely won't spend too much time looking at them. The performance can be a little troubling at times. I was running the game at a mix of high and max settings, and most of the time, the game FPS sat around mid-40s to high 50s. Of course, you can easily lower the settings to get a little bit of a smoother experience. Altogether, if you like survival games, or you're obsessed with dinosaurs and mythical creatures like me, this game is for you. I've left possibly the best and most immersive game for last in this video, and that is Resident Evil Village. This is the first Resident Evil game I've played. Don't worry, I got caught up on the previous game, and it has sunk its hooks into me deep. Literally. It's a first-person horror game that takes place in a snow-covered village filled with all manner of terrifying and intriguing creatures. If you're not into watching your fingers being bit off by a terrifying werewolf creature, I'd suggest maybe giving it a skip. But if you can get past the gory and horror aspect of the game, you'll find something amazing. Despite not even playing on max settings, the game still looks absolutely phenomenal and immerses the crap out of you with almost no HUD, letting you take in the beauty of this mastercrafted environment. Ray tracing is included in this game if you want to take it to the next level as well. I'll show you some ray traced clips throughout this video and let you know which ones are ray traced and which ones aren't, so you can get an idea. Just keep in mind that I've seen the frames between ray tracing and non-ray tracing vary from about 20 frames to upwards of 70-ish frames, so it can make a massive difference to performance. The game's in 21:9 in both the gameplay and the cutscenes, besides the opening pre-rendered cutscene. One issue that arose is that the FOV was quite low and constrained, but as usual there are fixes for this on the internet, one of which I'm using in this video. I was running the game at mid to high settings most of the time because it still looks amazing and managed to keep the frame rate between 80 to 100 FPS at almost all times, which is insane. If horror games don't scare you too much, and you want to experience this amazing piece of video game art, I highly recommend this game for almost everybody.
What the? Dead body?
Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed these 6 exciting looking games to play in ultra wide or 21:9. If you did, make sure to leave a like and also comment your favourite games for ultra wide in case I've missed any, and maybe even hit that subscribe button if you enjoy these videos. Peace out everyone.